I'm going to share with you today one of the most important questions that has ever been asked in the millennium, in time. And this question, at the end of this session today, I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm going to see who remembers the question. Y'all feel where I'm coming from? It's a question that I bet that Moses probably asked God when God said, I need you to take my people to the promised land. And that question is, who, me? So I got my backpack and I stuffed it with all my clothes. And I started walking around Third Ward, South Park, just trying to find a place to stay. And I ended up finding this abandoned school that they were doing construction on. And so I decided that I was going to put my backpack on the ground just that night until I could figure out what to do next. But when I put that backpack on the ground and I started to go to sleep, I said to myself, I don't want to wake up. Now, I didn't want to kill myself, but I just didn't want to wake back up to the concrete. So I feel where I'm coming from. But while I was on that concrete, it's like I could hear God talking to me. Even though I didn't want to wake up, the sun came up anyway. And that was my message from God to say, you got more purpose. You got something that you got to go do. So I got my backpack. I was still in school. And so because I played football, I had free lunch, free breakfast, and I could shower at the gym. And so I got up, I went to school, didn't tell anybody I was homeless, and breakfast, lunch, I ate. And then after school, I would go to the library until they closed, and I would stay there. And I told myself I was going to stay behind this elementary school just for a day or two. That day or two turned into 3 weeks that I was still sleeping on concrete. So I feel where I'm coming from. And one day when I was at the library, this librarian saw me. And evidently, the librarian could tell I was homeless. And the librarian said, here, take this envelope. In the envelope was $2 and the name of this place called the Covenant House. And he said, listen, I want you to go over there. Somebody there can take care. They'll be able to help you. So I walked over to the Covenant House. I put the $2 in my pocket. I walked 10 miles because I didn't have any money. I wanted to keep that money. Y'all feel where I'm coming from? And so when I got to the Covenant House, the lady said, hey, you can stay here as long as you want, but you're going to have a job. I said, ma'am, you do understand I'm homeless, right? She said, yeah, but you're going to have a job. And so the next day I went out and I started looking for some work. So I went to Burger King. I said, hey, are y'all hiring? They told me no. Oh, my goodness. So I went to McDonald's. I said, hey, are y'all hiring? McDonald's told me no. I went back to the lady. I said, ma'am, I've gone every place that I can think about. I went to McDonald's, Burger King. They told me they're not hiring. She said, well, Anthony, the only way that you can stay here is you got to get a job. My grandmother, before she died, she used to tell me something. She said, anything that you want in life, you got to put your stamp on it. Y'all feel me? And her stamp was in the name of God. You put your stamp on it. So the next day I said, I'm going to go back out there. I'm going to find me a job. And so what I did was I went to this restaurant called Del Fresco's Steakhouse. It was in River Oaks at the time. I know what y'all saying. Wait a minute, Dr. Sutton. Burger King told you no. McDonald's told you now you heading over to River Oaks expecting something different. But my grandmother told me to put my what on it? My stamp. So I walked over there to Del Frisco's. I got there and I said, sir, you hiring? And he told me what? No. No. But this time I was different. So I looked at these bus boys, right? And they were wearing these black shirts and these white shirts and these black pants. So I remember I had how much in my pocket? $2. I took that $2 and I went to a place called the Thrift Store. And I bought me a white dress shirt for 50 cents and some black dress pants for $1. So the next day I went back over to Del Fresco's. And this time I wasn't going to ask them was they hiring. I was just going to start working. And when I walked in, the manager who told me they were not hiring was not there. That ain't nothing but God. The owner looks at me. He says, hey, listen, we got a lot of dishes that we hadn't finished from last night. I need you to go ahead and take care of those. He didn't ask me that I work there. So I just started washing dishes. I didn't ask them if they hired or nothing, right? And I'm washing dishes. Halfway through the evening, they bring in a team called the Houston Rockets. Anybody heard of them? And they're going to have a luncheon for the Houston Rockets. The head waiter comes over to me and says, I want you to be the busboy for this table. I said, so I went to my advisor. I said, sir, I need to figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. He said, what you want to do? I said, I want to be a veterinarian. I know, right there. I want to be a veterinarian. He said, what's your GPA? I said, it's a 2.6. But I said it like it was a what? I was always proud of my GPA. He laughed at me and said, you probably won't be able to ever be a veterinarian, but maybe you could be a veterinarian technician. And I was thinking to myself, this man don't know me. He don't understand my story. So what I was going to do, I'm going to go find me a veterinarian. And so I went to this veterinarian and I said, sir, I want to be a veterinarian just like you. He said, well, no problem. You can come in and work. So for the first 2 weeks, I was great. They were bringing the animals in, no problem. Then this one day, they bring in this pit bull named Red. That's how Red looked. This pit bull was very angry. And the vet told me, I need you to go out and bring this pit bull back so we can take a look at him. I looked at him and said, who, me? Because at the time, I was engaged. I had the love, I thought, of my life. And I went to her and I said, listen here, sweetheart. I said, at this point, it's time for me to unlock my what? So I went to her and I said, listen, I'm going to go to medical school. She looked at me and said, who, you? And I called my dad and I said, Daddy, you know, I really want to go to med school. But Felicia basically telling me that if I go, then she's out. He said, first of all, let me tell you something. You need to start waiting on approval to be great. You don't need nobody approval for that. So I said, okay, I got you. So what I did was I chunked Felicia the deuce and said, bye, Felicia. I'm out. So my first semester in medical school, I struggled. And I struggled. And when I struggled, my mother told me, lean on God. Exactly, lean on God. My second semester in medical school, I struggled. And my daddy told me, that's right. I get into my third year where I started to see patients, right? And in this third year of medical school, I'm struggling. But my brother tells me, lean on God. I get into my final year of medical school, my fourth year of medical school. And this time, I tell myself, lean on God. Y'all feel where I'm coming from? At this point, if you realize what happened, I done finished med school. I done finished med school because I did what? Y'all follow where I'm coming from? So guess what? I graduated medical school. And I'm at Sam's about to throw a party. Because you know that's what you do when you graduate, right? And I'm in Sam's, and I see, it's been 4 years. Guess who I run into at Sam's? Alicia, y'all know what I'm talking about, right? She said, hey, Anthony. I said, hey, how you doing? She said, what you got going on? I said, well, I'm having a little party. She said, for what? I said, I'm graduating from med school. She said, huh? I said, yeah, I'm graduating from med school. She said, you know, I've been trying to call you. I looked her dead in her eyes. And I said, who, me? Back then you didn't want me. Now I'm hot. Y'all follow where I'm coming from, right? So let me just tell y'all this. I told y'all that was a powerful, very powerful 2-word question. And that powerful 2-word question is, right, that powerful 2-word question is what? Now, I think it's only appropriate that I give you the answer to the question. And here it is. Right now, I'm going to make some predictions. I'm going to speak on some people. I'm going to say some things. And all I want you to do is give me the two-word question. Y'all feel where I'm coming from? So right now, what I'm going to tell y'all is that everybody in this room right now is going to have straight A's this semester. I hear that, but I didn't hear the question. Everybody in this room right now is going to have A's this semester. Yes, you. That's the answer. Somebody in this room right now is going to find a cure for cancer. Yes, you. Yes. Somebody in this room right now is going to be the leader at their school. Yes, you. Y'all feel where I'm coming from? So at the end of the day, the question is, who me? But the answer is, thank y'all, I appreciate it.